punt.
Best offensive player and their best defensive player.
G'day, welcome to the Outback to Endzone podcast. Today we had BYU punter Sam Vander Haar on. He has a fascinating story talking us through the BYU honour code, Kalani Sitake, his relationship with him and how he just sounds like an absolute legend. Jamie, what'd you think?
Mate, incredible chat. From having aspirations to play in the AFL to playing in front of the big stage of 90,000 people over at BYU.
Yeah, it's crazy. And he spoke so positively of the experience, and he recommends any Aussies that are even considering it in the slightest to listen to this podcast, because he could not speak any higher of the experiences he's had at BYU and Pitt. And mate, it was awesome. I can't wait to share it to the masses.
Yeah, such a down-to-earth bloke, absolute legend. I think everyone's going to enjoy this one.
Sweet, let's go. Perfect. So welcome to the podcast, Sam.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Yeah, thanks for having us. Really excited to have a yarn with you guys. Should be good.
We absolutely love seeing another Aussie winning on the big stage at college football. I guess like to kick this one off, would love to take you back to the start and go dig deep into sort of like what your sporting background was like when you're growing up in Australia, and how'd you first get introduced to punting and the American game?
Yeah, so just like probably everyone else that's kind of over here, I obviously did Auskick. I think I was like four years old, started Auskick. I got an older brother, so he was about 6 or 7 at the time, and he was kind of getting into it, and I'm like, oh, I'll get into it too. So I got into Auskick, and then played like YJFL. I guess I don't know if that's even still exists in Melbourne anymore, but it was like YJFL early days. And then yeah, so that started like my footy journey, I suppose. And then it was probably around maybe 11 or 12 where I felt like I started to maybe like really progress, and maybe thought that I could, do something with it. I mean, I guess every 11 or 12-year-old thinks that, right? So that was cool to kind of begin really training hard and trying to like see a point of difference on the field in that sense. Yeah, about 15 or 16 is when sort of the pathways began, initially with the Chargers, so Oakley Chargers in the TAC league. I don't know if it's called that anymore or whatever it's called, but it was TAC back then. Yeah, I'm 28.
Yeah, I'm 30, mate. So
yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so it's TAC back then, whatever, and then
Coach League now, I think it's called.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so did that. Bottom age, top age years, and then wasn't drafted, just wasn't good enough, I think. And then I played a year at Frankston Dolphins. It was actually the year before they got liquidated, so I don't know if you guys remember, but they went broke. So I played 2016. I was a 19-year-old and played a few senior games. It was good. And then, they got liquidated, and then sort of just went to Baldwin Tigers in the EFL after that and sort of applied my trade there. It was kind of like, I still was interested in maybe pursuing it, but I was also kind of just like, I wanted to just get my footing in the team there, because it's pretty competitive with those blokes, obviously a lot of ex-AFL guys. And, so did that. And then that's kind of where my footy journey began. And then and then obviously COVID happened, and I actually met my now wife, Hallie. It makes it sound like an afterthought, but I met her in 2019 while I was backpacking in the US. And then, we sort of bounced around a little bit. She came and lived with me in Australia during COVID, and I was sort of like, all right, well, we want to end up in the US, but like I didn't really know how to go about that. I'd been working for my dad's company, Albatross Pools, for about 6 or 7 years at that time. And was just kind of chilling, like I guess playing footy and working for the old man. And then, I sort of needed the way into the US, and I actually found, I don't know if I've ever told him this, but Wade Lease, he played at UCLA in Maryland. And I think he might have even played a few years in the AFL, but he played at Frankston Dolphins. And so he knew Connects through Facebook, and I saw him post something on Facebook. It was something like he'd graduated from UCLA and was like, oh, not bad for a kid that never graduated like high school or something. And I was kind of the same sort of boat, And I was like, oh, what's this? And then found ProKick through there, and then joined ProKick, and then kind of took off from there, really. So yeah, that's a lot of words, but that's kind of how it all started, really. So
no, it's perfect. I was doing a bit of research, saw that you had the nickname Bulldozer or Dozer. How'd that come about?
Yeah, that's terrible in hindsight. But yeah, at the time I liked it. I was 11, I think. But yeah, that was from actually, that was from my brother-in-law, Justin. He came and watched me play footy once, and we were playing against St. Mary's, and I'd kind of, I tackled a kid and kind of gator rolled him, and he broke his arm. But it wasn't like malice. It wasn't like any malicious. But it was like, I guess, a good tackle. And he was like, "Oh, the bulldozer" or something shit like that. I don't know. I was like, whatever. We can roll with that. So yeah, and I was a little chubby. I was a little fat at the time as well. So I think he was just, I don't know, synonymous with being a little rough and a little fat and big, whatever, I guess. So yeah, leaned out eventually. But yeah, that was kind of the time where it came from.
That's so good, mate. Kind of reminds me of John Newcomb, that one, I reckon.
Yeah, yeah. I have about a quarter of his talent, but yeah. So that's kind of where it came from.
Mate, I guess like transitioning from going from Aussie rules to American football, from an American media point of view, they always talk about like how much crossover there is between Aussie rules and punting, not just like the kicking side, but the athletic side. But what I find, nobody actually talks about like what the learning curve is like. Like, no doubt, once you like first picked up, when you first pick up that new football, the new shape football, what were some of the things, like what were some of the big challenges you really faced when you were learning the new sport?
Yeah, so punting. So when I was in Queensland or New South Wales during COVID, I went to Rebel Sport and bought like a composite, like NFL ball, which once again, I didn't know anything about the game. I thought that was the ball they kicked. And I looked up online, like what, because obviously my wife Hallie and I had spoken about punting at this point and like ProKick and all those things. And so I was kind of like training for my assessment for ProKick. And I sort of looked up online. I'm like, all right, what am I dealing with here? Like, how far do I have to kick it? Like, when I played Aussie rules, I had a strong leg, but nothing like abnormally strong. Or I would say I was just more accurate, to be honest. So I was like, all right, well, let's see. Like, I got no idea if I'm even going to be able to be capable of doing this. And so I go online and punch into Google, like, how far do college punters kick? And if you can hit it like 45 yards, like, you're considered pretty good. And I'm like, 45? I'm like, what is that, like 42 meters or something? I was like, oh, that's good, dude. That's cake, So I go to the field and kicking this composite ball and, hitting it like, I guess, 45, 50, 55 yards, whatever. But one thing that a lot of Aussies don't understand is that it's 45 yards from the line of scrimmage. So it's actually a 60-yard punt, right? And so I didn't learn that for the first 2 weeks before my assessment at ProKick, right? So I'm hitting, I'm like, dude, this is what? I don't even need ProKick. I can just get over there, Very naive, right? Not in an arrogant way. I was just like, oh, whatever, this is fine. And you don't understand the hang time and stuff. And so I was doing that, and then I turned up at my ProKick assessment, and it was terrible. Like, it was windy. It was, I don't know if you guys are from Melbourne, but it was like Box Hill. It was like around Box Hill skate park, like opposite the skate park at the rugby fields. It was like thick grass, like pissing down with rain, windy. They threw me the ball to punt, and it was like a proper college leather ball, and it was like a brick. And I'm like, dude, and meanwhile, while I was there, Hugh Robinson, who played at Illinois, and then Mark Vassett, who I actually played against, he was committed to Michigan State at the time. I thought these two blokes were just assessment guys like me. And so I'm sitting there and I'm watching them roost the ball. I'm like, dude, what? Like, I'm not going to get on this like program, And so anyway, it was all right. But what they do there, like Chappie and Johnny at ProKick Australia, it's like they're just assessing power. They're not really assessing like the production of the kick. They just really want to see if you can really get your leg into it type thing. And I guess they deemed that I was capable, like they thought that I could maybe do something with it. And so I was lucky enough to, join ProKick and be able to go from there. But yeah, it was definitely like fish out of water the first few kicks, because as I said, like, and I'm sure you blokes see it as well, like guys comment, oh, I could easily hit it 50 yards. It's like, yeah, well, you got a 300-pound most athletic dude on the planet you've ever seen sprinting at you. You have to get it off in like a second. It's actually like 65 yards, not 50. You know what I mean? So it's like, from that perspective, it was kind of cool to learn all that, but it was definitely eye-opening. I was like, oh shit, this is going to be harder than I thought, So
There's a bit more to it than just kicking a footy in the backyard or on an oval and just kicking it as far as you can, isn't there?
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's the thing. I think you guys might have even interviewed Mitchie, and I sort of heard him talking about like the different shapes, the balls. It's not like all one Sharon or one Burley. Like, the balls we use at BYU are quite nice, to be honest. One of the boys, Ollie Straw, who was at West Virginia, he's like one of my good mates. He had the worst football you've ever seen. It was like a diamond. And like, he came and played us at BYU this year, and I was like looking at his footies before the game. I'm like, dude, I don't know how you kick these. Like, the sweet spot's about this big on those footballs, right? So it's and it definitely, it plays a factor. I mean, we're talking like 5 to 7 yards of difference potentially, like with some of those worse balls, So yeah, it's kind of it's kind of nuanced actually. So yeah,
Mate, I find that crazy. I think this speaks to your skill set, which we'll dive into a little bit later. But mate, you got the ability to kick on both feet, which I can't imagine too many punters that grew up in America, went through their system, would be able to kick on both feet. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, I think I was about 11, and the old man he was kind of like, if you want to, because as I said to you guys, that's kind of when I felt like I was maybe gonna be all right at playing, and Dad was like, if you want to be elite, like, at the time, like Sam Mitchell was like pretty prominent in his career. I think he was like sort of at the middle of it. And Dad's like, I think that you can like try, obviously not be Sam Mitchell, but he was like, try and emulate that sort of skill set. And so he just sort of was pretty hard on me trying to work on my left foot. And it honestly just came pretty natural. And I think I was starting to use it in games probably in like under 13s where I was using it almost as much as my right. Some coaches would probably say too much, but yeah, and I just, as you guys know, with anything, it's just repetition, and so it's funny. My first punt in college was actually in the backyard brawl when I was at Pittsburgh against West Virginia, and that's like the equivalent of like, well, it's not the equivalent, but like Ohio State versus Michigan. It's like a big time rivalry, and my first punt was the back of the end zone. It was my left foot actually. That was it was terrifying, yeah, and that's the thing. Like a lot of fans, like they're on the TV and they're like, oh, why is he kicking on his left? You don't get to choose. Like the coaches choose what the kick we're going to do and you just go do it. It's not a conversation. It's not a, oh, can I? No. Like, I actually did say to him, I'm like, bro, we're on the right hash. Like, can I just swing onto the right? Like, because the other thing too, like, and once again, this might be getting a little into it, but like, if you're on the right hash kicking to outside the left numbers, that's an extra 5 yards of travel. Like, it's not just a 45-yard punt's actually 50, right? Like when you factor in the actual angle. So I'm thinking, damn, on my left, like, righto, let's give it a crack, So that was definitely interesting doing that. But yeah, it's been cool, I guess.
It's a weapon, I guess. There wouldn't be too many punters in college football have, so I'm sure the people at BYU are quite thankful for that.
Yeah, it's just it's designed to be like a get out of jail kick, really. Like if they overload the right, you can just swing on the left and get yourself out. I know Jacko Ross at Tennessee, he does it quite a bit as well. But the problem is with the American coaches is you do it once at practice and you smoke one and they're like, oh, we'll just kick on the left. Like we'll just use it whenever. I'm like, no, dude, like, but that's just how they are. They're creatures of, I guess, success and habit. Like I remember one walkthrough we're doing like before a game, even just this year, like I think it was after like week 6, I was just hitting some bananas like, from like the plus 45, like pin punts, and my coach was like, oh, we're doing those this week. I'm like, bro, no, like 'cause they're fun to hit, but it's so unreliable. I mean, yeah, as you guys know, hitting bananas, it's not a hard kick to hit, but to hit it the way it needs to be done every time, is obviously not the easiest thing in the world. It's funny how they operate like that,
Yeah, and snapping through goalposts is a little bit different to trying to pin a ball on a 1 yard line. It's a lot smaller target, that's for sure.
Well, that's it. And like you guys mentioned, like a lot of Aussies are over here. Like we obviously grew up kicking the footy. Like those American coaches, as much as that they're professionals in their at their craft, a lot of them don't really know much about punting, to be honest. And so, like conversely, with an Aussie rules coach, if you guys are playing at your footy club and you hit a nice ball on your left, they're not going to be like, oh, now you're only kicking left foot. Like they know
Yeah.
that like you were probably lucky. You know what I mean? Like in the US, they see it and they don't really get it. They just go, oh man, like, well, I've never seen that before, but we'll just keep doing it. Like. And so it's kind of funny like that, It's so yeah, but that's just kind of how it is over here, really.
Yeah, well, mate, we'll run through your career in a little bit, but just skipping forward now to the present moment. You're obviously living in BYU. Most Aussies who follow the NFL or college football, they'll definitely recognise the name BYU and recognise them as a college, but they probably couldn't point to them on a map.
No.
So what's life actually like on campus and living in Utah?
Mate, BYU is a very interesting place. I love it because a lot of the things that the honor code, like for example, just to run through, like the honor code, like you can't drink coffee, no sex before marriage. You're actually meant to refrain from even really like kissing on campus, like that sort of thing, right? And obviously I love coffee, right? But like obviously I'm married, so a lot of those things don't really apply to me. But if you're a younger guy who's maybe looking to go to BYU, then obviously for you that might be like, you're like, nah, but I honestly think that it's kind of cool that they have that, just because it creates like a foundation of discipline like within the team, and then obviously the culture as well. And I also think that there's like some stereotype that like all the players on the team are like weird or something. No, like they're just normal blokes. Like they're just normal blokes that are like really committed to their faith, which I think is awesome. And they love football, And so like Kalani's like kind of fostered like a really awesome culture where it's like you come to BYU to, be a faithful man, like get good grades and play good football, and like have a winning culture type thing. So it's not for everyone, but like being a bit older and kind of settled with Hallie and everything. Like to me, like it doesn't really bother me on a day to day. You actually can't have a beard either, so I need to shave. So that's another thing, like with the honor code as well. Like I remember on my visit actually, my coordinator was running through the honor code. I'm like, yeah, mate, like it's fine. I can deal with all that. And he was like, oh, well, you can't have a beard because I had a full blown beard. Like this is like kind of light, but on my visit it was like full blown. He's like, mate, you're gonna have to shave. And I thought he was kidding. He's like, I'm like, oh yeah, no, good one. He's like, no, I'm serious. Like you can't have a beard. I'm like, what? So there's ways around it. You can get like a beard card and all that, but it's like a full on like card that you can have where it stipulates you can have a beard. Yeah. So it's different, but hey, like it's not for everyone, but it's a special place. And I always like encourage, like, even if you blokes are out west, like you come to campus and you meet the coaches and, there's always give and take with programs. Like you can get a lot out of programs, and some programs, maybe you might feel a bit like strangleheld with some things, right? But like if you guys met Kalani, you'd be like, I've never met a man like that in my life. Like the dude is just an absolute saint. He actually cares about you. And I feel like a lot of the coaches over here, it's very much like you're a number, or like, because it's such a business, right? Like especially with NIL and rev share now, where guys are getting money. Like, it's a win-loss business, but Kalani's he would sacrifice win-loss for person. So that's something that's probably unique. And I think it's kind of symbolic of the way we play as well. Like if you whack on a BYU game, everyone's really disciplined, like everyone plays really tough.
I've probably followed the college sort of side of things reasonably closely for the first time this year, and he was an amazing person to watch from afar, just the way he communicates and, as you said, really sort of cares about his players. His interview when he speaks about how he applied for the BYU job and said to his wife, like, why would they hire? She was like, said something like, you're going to just go in and say you were going to hire us. Like he just seems like such a powerful person. Can you just go into, I guess, how he helped the culture of BYU and how he helped convince you to make the move from Pitt?
Yeah, so I guess obviously I played at Pitt and entered the portal, and it's funny you guys mentioned like you obviously know about BYU now, like studying football. I didn't, right? So even when I was playing at Pitt here in the US, like Johnny, my coach from back home from ProKick, was like, hey mate, like BYU's interested, like you should speak to him on the phone. I'm like, dude, no, he said Brigham Young is interested, which is BYU. I'm like, dude, what is Brigham Young? I'm like, it's something like in the bump. Like, no, I don't even know what that is, And he's like, just look them up. I knew what BYU was, but I didn't know that was like the same thing. And so I looked up BYU. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, right, yeah, no, let's do it. Like, let's talk to him. And obviously, I didn't know anything about the honor code, just like you blokes. I didn't know anything about that. But I wasn't going to base my decision whether I was going to go and get an elite education in football and all that based on an honor code. Like if, you're either in or you're not, to buy in. And so, yeah, Kalani flew out. I was living in Arizona at the time with Hallie. So he flew out to Arizona and met with us. And instantly I was just like, dude, this guy's like, as you said, like such a powerful person, like head coach. And he was just like your mate. Like he was like, what's going on? Like, because his mom, I think, is from Sydney actually. So he's got a lot of family ties in Australia, and he kind of understands the culture a little bit, like kind of we're all a little bit stupid and a little bit, just like kind of laid back. I guess that's how we all are. But yeah, he was awesome. Honestly, like I got along with him so well, and sort of like what you said, Adam. I was just like, I got to play for this guy. Like everything that they wanted to do schematically, like was going to suit me as a punter. That was kind of first and foremost what I needed if I was going to transfer somewhere, obviously, because you want to be able to succeed. But then, yeah, obviously everything about like the school and everything, I was so drawn to it. Like, I was like, what an opportunity. I'll be able to look back on my life and say I graduated from BYU. I think it's like top 5 universities in the world or something for academics. And so I was like, what an opportunity. And like, to be able to play good football and play in front of a lot of people and all those things. And so I was like, yeah, sign me up. So he definitely was a huge part. I mean, honestly, like BYU is amazing, but like if he wasn't the head coach at the time recruiting me, and even my coordinator, Kelly Papinga, I mean, I wouldn't say that I was automatically in on BYU. I think I was more in on Kalani and Pop.
Really just selling their vision, I guess, for you. And that, as you say, it's such an important decision when you enter the transfer portal to, I guess, make the right move, because you only have 4 years of eligibility. So going to somewhere where you believe that you're going to succeed is so important. So I guess, can we just unpack as much as we can about the honor code? So for Aussies who don't know, BYU is religious school and have the honor code. I'm fascinated by it. As I've spoken to you earlier, I don't know a lot about it, but you sort of touched on, a lot of people get the opinion that they're just a heap of nerds who who believe in silly religion and so I just can't wait to just unpack the whole honour code and what it sort of means to play for BYU and go to
Yeah,
school there.
so I mean, yeah, and you're right. Like the honor code is kind of depending on just how you look at it. Like some guys see it as like a set of laws that are, a bit crazy and that like why would I abide by that? But I guess if you have a perspective of like, well, like if you look at it from the outset, like would I be a better person implementing now, obviously excluding like stuff about the beard and maybe coffee and all that, but like the general part about like trying to be a good person and a good husband, all those things, like would that actually make me a better person? Well, yeah, it would. So it's like for me, from that perspective, I was like, look, I'm not LDS. I never will be LDS, which is Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I guess Mormons. That's kind of the church that the school is associated with. Like I'll never be a part of that. Just I'm just a non-denominational Christian, I guess, or Catholic, whatever. But it's more just like, are you willing to kind of buy into kind of the vision of, because it's more than that, right? Like the honor code is obviously a set of rules, and they're very strong about that because they're trying to have an image of what BYU is, and I guess trying to be like as outstanding of a person as you can be. But yeah, like for me, I was just like, yeah, like I'm good with that. Like I think that that's only going to make me a better person. And even if I don't, agree with a lot of the stuff, in the sense of like for me, like a coffee is like so mundane, right? I mean, like, whatever, but at the same time, if that's just kind of how they want to operate, then I'm good with that too. Like I'm not the type of person to be like, oh mate, like that's, you guys are stupid and why would you do that? Like I'm not doing that, like I feel like that's a little bit of a cynical, maybe closed-minded way to view things. And so I was like, all right, sweet, we'll buy in. And yeah, it's honestly been awesome, dude. Like I think that I've said to people like at ProKick, like if it's something that you feel like that you could be willing to just be open and just like become a better person, I feel like, if I could go back and have all my 4 years at BYU, I'd do it. I look back as what I was like as an 18 to 21-year-old. Would I have been able to do it then? Probably not. But, like I think that at my age and where I am, it only made me a better person. And yeah, I feel very fortunate to be here, to be honest.
We'll jump into some of your personal highlights from the year so far and for some of your career so far at Pitt and BYU. I guess for yourself, what would you say is one of your favourite personal highlights?
Beating Utah at the end of the game, where like the Holy War. I don't know if you guys know much about it. Also, can you guys hear me a bit better? Is that better?
Yeah,
No,
sweet,
sweet.
mate.
Yeah, that's better.
Like that's a huge rivalry here in Utah. I mean, it's like BYU versus Utah. Like everyone's going crazy about it. I could care less about the rivalry, to be honest. I mean, but it's like everyone at BYU cares about it. And I'm like, my job doesn't change. Whether we're playing a rivalry game or against a nobody, it's the same job for me. So, yeah, playing there is still the loudest stadium I've ever played in. I mean, I couldn't even hear the cadence, which is obviously like my personal protector who's 7 yards in front of me is yelling what the cadence is. I couldn't even hear him. Like it was that loud, which is also like another thing to like kind of talk about because it's just different. But yeah, so playing them and then winning after the siren was crazy. Like that was just pandemonium. Like because we were down and out all game, and then Will, who's our kicker last year, sealed the game. That was just bonkers, to be honest. But my personal play, I mean, I had a fake punt against Baylor where I ran, and that was just sweet. Like that was good fun, and it was kind of a pivotal moment in the game. I think that, that was a big momentum shifter, and that was pretty fun to be able to do that with the fellas. And because the guys on punt team, you become so close with them as well. Like, I had Tyler Batty, who's now at Minnesota Vikings, he was my personal protector, like big 6'6", like just house. And my coach had called in the fake, and he was like to me, dude, even if it's not on, we're doing it. Like, and I was just like, all right, let's run it. And it was on our own 35-yard line, and we got it. And that was really cool. That was like a personal moment. That was really fun. And yeah, it's hard because like there's been so many like cool like personal like kicks and things like that are fun, but because we're in such a service role, like you don't really like. That's why the Utah moment's so fun for me, because like that was a whole team. Like the locker room was crazy afterwards. The media attention. Like Will, our kicker, got free Chubbies for life, which is like a restaurant here in Utah. Like they gave him free Chubbies for life. Like it was crazy. So if you guys like go back on YouTube, like you can see him getting like crowd surfed in like Provo, Utah after that game. Like it was wild. Winning that and playing in front of them, and I had a couple of kicks in that game from the back of the end zone where, I had this one lady just yelling at me the whole game. I don't know why. Post game, I ran up and yeah, I gave it the bird or whatever. I think I tried to do it secretly so that like the cameras wouldn't see. I don't want to get in trouble with BYU, but Yeah, it was fun, dude. It was just even that, like just looking back, that's gonna be cool to sort of think of. It still makes me laugh to this day. So
It's crazy, us Aussies. One of my good friends, he's our captain of our local footy side, and we played a team, and same thing. It's crazy that we go to the bird as like we don't yell, we don't scream, but we stick the finger up, and that's our sort of stuff you.
yeah. Oh, and she was filthy too, which made it even better. I just knew it would probably get under her skin. And so yeah, it was fun. I mean, and there's also been a lot of memories where like it hasn't been good. Like for example, like when we played at Arizona State in 2024, and that was like a pivotal moment where we would have gone to the Big 12 game, or we wouldn't have if we lost, and we lost, and they stormed the field. And like even that's a cool memory. I mean, obviously, like the memory of the game isn't like obviously we wanted to win that game, right? But like just being an Aussie, like just thinking about that, like all like 80,000 fans storming the field, like that's just a cool thing to like look back on. So yeah, it's been cool. It's been a cool ride. Like I haven't really like sat down and really reflected about it, but doing an interview like this is kind of cool. Just to kind of think about those, those moments.
So good, mate. And you obviously mentioned some of your trick plays. I was going through some of your highlights last night and having a look. Mate, you're quick. Like you were running downhill like a running back on one of those trick plays. I was very impressed, mate.
Man, I'm quick for an Aussie. You should see some of these blokes move. I mean, it's like even like, and that's the thing. Like I played Aussie rules for like 20 years, and I have all the respect in the world for athletes back home. But there's just a whole different ball game when you see some of these guys. Like just from a pure genetically gifted athletic standpoint, like the way that these guys can move from 0 to 40 yards, how high they can jump. Like to me, that's a true test of actual athleticism. I mean, anyone can be fit, like anyone can run, but like seeing these dudes move and like just the sheer size of them, it's just like, mate, like you just don't see it back home, like objectively anyway. And like that's nothing again. Like I love Aussie rules footy, right? But yeah, you just see some of the guys here. But yeah, I mean, I did have like even some of the American boys like, mate, I can actually run a little bit. I was like, well, I was actually quick in Australia. I'm just slow here, So yeah,
It's
no,
that
it's been
like explosiveness I feel like we don't have in Australia. Like whereas over in America, it doesn't matter if you're a D lineman, wide receiver, tight end, like they just pop out of the gate.
it's for some perspective, like numbers. Like I had 3 guys on my punt team, like gunners, the guys that run downfield. 2 of them were in the state championship for the Utah 100 meters, and 2 of them ran sub 10.5. Like just electric speed, like and like Parker Kingston, our punt returner, which I mean, he's probably the fastest white guy I've ever seen. Honestly, like he just moves, and you can't teach that. You know what I mean? So like seeing it in person is like that. They're the stuff that I think I'll remember like when I'm older, if I'm obviously back home in Australia, like. It's just cool to think of, like, just to be around some of these blokes, like, even some of the D line that are like, you almost become numb to the numbers, like, because they do pounds over here, right? And so, like, these guys are weighing at 300 pounds, and you're like, oh, yeah, 300 pounds. But, like, that's like 140 kilos, and they're moving, like, they can run, like, a 12-second 100. You're like, huh? Like, it's just so odd, like, so that's kind of cool. And yeah, it'd be cool to, like, get you guys over here and even just come to a practice and just see how some of these dudes just go about it. So it's cool.
Mate, we would absolutely love to. Genuinely on the bucket list, us getting over there to see a game. Sort of speaking about your practice, with like the trick plays and stuff, how much time does a team actually apply to practicing plays like that? And I guess it's one thing practicing it, but also like earning the trust with like the coaching staff to say, all right, because the risk versus reward of going for a trick play on a 4th down is huge. For the coach to say, like, oh, let's back you and let's take a risk on this drive, what does that sort of take?
No, you're so right. Because, if it all turns to water, you're in trouble. Like against Baylor, like when we ran that fake punt, if they get the ball on the 35, we probably lose that game. Genuinely. And so in that instance, it was a huge reward with a massive risk. A lot of the times, like if you're doing like it on field goal or something, it's kind of like, it's a risk, but it's in your side of the field. You can kind of get away with it. But if you do like a fake punt, there's a ton of risk. Yeah. So we like at practice, like we'll have like 18 to 21 periods, which is 5 to 7 minute periods. And you'll have like a punt period, which is about 5 minutes. But then once my punt period's done and field goal period's done, I'm done with practice. So we still stay out there, but we'll go and like just rep the fake, like a ton. I don't know if you guys saw, but like we did like a through the legs against UCF. Mate, that was awful when we started doing that. They were like, what do you think of this? I'm like, this is so stupid. Like, because I just said to them, I'm like, why don't we just like pop it over the head? Like that'll be a whole lot easier. And that's the thing that because coaches, I mean, they get paid very well, obviously, but they get paid to like execute, and they study film like no one's business. And the coach would explain to me, if we can like emulate you putting the ball down, it's going to draw them for that extra 0.1 of a second. And I'm like, righto, mate, whatever. Let me just, dive in and just keep trying it out. And so we were, and that's the thing too. It's a very like personality thing. Like I think the BYU coaches trust me to do the fakes a lot more because I would like to think I'm like kind of a bit like nonchalant, like in a way where like I don't think about it not working. Basically, I'm just like, screw it. Like we're just gonna do it and it'll work. And the UCF one looks so smooth, but the first 2 weeks it was terrible. Like when we practiced it, so we practiced it for about 3 months before we did it in the game. So, and we're talking like hundreds, like almost probably 1,000 reps of it, like just, understanding where he's going to be, like when I throw it, the timing of it. And it's funny because like if you catch the ball wrong on a hold, it screws the throw underneath. So I was like, just catch the ball good, because if I bobble this, it's going to screw the timing. And it's funny, as soon as I threw it between my legs, I knew it was good because we'd done it so many times. I knew like how much power it needed to be and all that. But I look back on it now and I'm like, mate, like, I don't know how he did that. And I remember running off the field and I said to my head coach, I'm like, that's going to be on ESPN, and he was laughing his head off. Like, so yeah, it's cool. It's just like, if the coaches see that you're diligent, like at practice and you're willing to like really crack in and like work at it, they just build trust, and so as much as like, I would like to think I'm pretty like relaxed, like they know that I'm going to go after it and like rep it out. And so, yeah, it looked good it looked good when it needed to, but it looked terrible sometimes at practice.
Let's just say, like, the details involved and the hours, I guess, for a 5-second clip is just insane, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's so funny. And even like, particularly like with the rollout scheme, the actual punt, like, where they have to move at how long, like, it's just like, it's them understanding my speed and me understanding their speed. And, I mean, we only have a 5-minute punt period, but those guys are, post practice, like we're going out and we're working out like how many yards we should be. And it's just the film study. And like, as I said, like, I think they did like a study that a whole American football game, if you were to just take out the timeouts, take out the stops from the moment the ball is snapped in someone's hands, I think the whole game is like 8 minutes. And it's a 4-hour game. You know what I mean? Like the actual playing time is like so short. And a punt is like a 5-second play, maybe 6-7 play, like once it's actually going. Yeah, it's a lot of work for, very minimal game time, but it's such an important role, right? Like, I mean, you don't realize you need a punter until you have a bad one. This is, I guess, the saying that the coaches say over here. And if the coaches don't talk to you, you're doing pretty good. That's kind of like if I don't have my coordinator ever talking to me or my head coach or anything, I'm like, oh, sweet, I must be doing pretty good here. So.
There's so many positions in American football that you don't want to be talked about, because when you're getting talked about, that's when you're playing poorly.
Exactly. And like, I mean, as you guys alluded to earlier with Dylan, I mean, he had an awesome game in the championship, but every Miami fan is probably like blaming him for the loss. But it's like, he didn't even do anything wrong. I mean, he just did what he always did. And you just look at the result and you see the punt blocked, and it's very easy to just put 2 and 2 together and be like, oh, it's the punter, so that's kind of but then again, you do something amazing and you get all the praise. So it kind of goes both ways, So
yeah, for sure. Well, we'll just turn in a little bit now. Your personal life. You've got a 3-month-old. You've touched on your wife. How do you go about being a new father, playing, it's semi-professional, but professional sport pretty much? And how did BYU, I guess, allow you to balance it all?
That's honestly the biggest challenge of this whole thing. Like, people think that, like, yeah, the punting and implementing it on game day, like doing your job at the right way at the right time. I guess from the outset, people are like, wow, like that's a lot of pressure. Like, honestly, when you've played enough, it starts to slow down and becomes a little easier. But it's the preparation of like, if, like I'm with my son tonight, Hallie's at work, and he'll be up till 4 a.m. probably, and then I got to go to class tomorrow and practice. And so from that aspect, like that's probably the hardest part, is just balancing it. And I feel like a lot of people that don't know anything about college football, they just see us kicking a footy for not much reward. But obviously, as you guys know, like, getting a degree out of it, and they obviously take care of us like financially. It's definitely a job. So balancing it is hard. But I would say that like BYU, because they obviously foster like, family and guys. Like I have like 35 guys on my team that are married, which is wild, right? Like most college teams, you're lucky to find one, right? So they understand that. And Kalani, like I wouldn't do this, but if I went to Kalani and said, hey, like I want to go be with my son. Like, he's unwell. He'd be like, yeah, you don't need to practice, just go. And that's not normal. Like, coaches would be like, nah, mate, like, hang on one sec. Coaches, get out. Also got to balance having a dog as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, coaches will be like, nah, mate, like, you got to be here, because obviously it's, as you know, everyone is so diligent on their job and their role, and these coaches are getting paid millions of dollars. Like, they can't afford for you to suck. So it's like, they need to know that you're doing the work. Even if me being at practice doesn't affect me on game day, it doesn't matter. It's like, they need to know that everyone's doing their job, the same level of intentness, so that they can save face in a way as well.
It's pretty special having that relationship with Kalani. Spinning it to the AFL sort of system in Geelong, the way they, I guess, treat players, and they get spoken about how they're family first. And you look at the success they've had for the last few decades, and I have no doubt Kalani doing that at BYU is only going to benefit that, because I'm recently have a young family as well, and you don't understand how much time children can take from you until you have them, I think, and how much free time you have. Then when you have a child, it's like all my free time is absorbed, sort of thing.
I mean, 100%. And I'm very fortunate with Hallie. I mean, she's, as you know, with your wife, it's like, they're like a supermodel. You don't even know how they do it, honestly. So I'm very fortunate to have her, because she understands, I guess, the demands, which just sounds terrible, because being the demand of a mum is like more than anything, right? But she understands the demands of like this whole business and everything. It's not just going to uni and kicking a footy on Saturday. Like, it is kind of like a job now. And so I'm very blessed to have her, and it's as easy as it's going to be anywhere. Like, in terms of, because BYU is so accommodating, and the coaches are like, yeah, mate, like, go take care of your kid. And like, I'm actually flying back to Australia, not this Wednesday coming, but next Wednesday for 2 weeks to see family. And if the coaches were like, yeah, no worries. Now, obviously it goes both ways, right? Like, you kind of have to earn that trust. And, I've been fortunate where I've been able to play a little bit, and naturally that factors in too. Like, they know I'm going to go home and like still work on my craft and things like that. But yeah, for the most part, I'm very fortunate to be able to have a son here, like, while I'm at BYU, So
That's awesome, mate. That's awesome. So I guess we're moving forward to future aspirations. You've spoken a lot about the degree being a big part of heading over. What are your future aspirations? Are you looking to make it professionally? Are you looking to just go on to your degree? What is your degree? Sort of take us through that a bit.
yeah, I'm definitely open to sort of just seeing where it goes. Like, so right now I'm actually technically out of eligibility. I'm waiting on a lawsuit to be able to get a year back that I did in Australia, which looks like I've got a really good chance to be able to get that. So that'll be good. So I should have this year. So play one more, and then going forward, yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it's, I kind of think I made the mistake when I was playing Aussie rules that it was AFL or bust for me. Like, I kind of saw it as a failure if I didn't get there. And I think that with this stuff, I've been a lot more mature, where I've been like, yeah, like, obviously I want to try and take it as far as I can, whether that's, playing at this like powerful level and playing a lot of footy and being done, I can be proud of that. Or like, if I can try and go to the league and do something with it, then for sure I'd be open to that, So it's kind of one of those things where, as you know, I don't know if you have a child either, Jamie, but I know, Adam, you have a child, like, your perspective changes. Like, sure, like, I'd love to play in the league, but at the end of the day, like, I'm pretty content with like having a family and playing at BYU and getting taken care of and all those things. So yeah, for sure. Like, that's a long-winded answer to your question, but yeah, I would definitely be open to it and like would want to pursue it. But I'm just going to kind of just see where it goes, to be honest. And I think that's going to allow me to be a lot more, probably perform better, I think, just because I'm not putting so much pressure on it.
You just realize that you aren't the most important person in your life. You're not probably the second most important person in your life either. You become the third, and you just will do anything to help your wife and son be the best that they can be. So it's a credit to you, mate, for what you're doing, because you look like you've got the balance down pat.
Yeah, it's definitely like, yeah, I mean, it's definitely not perfect, but it's like, I think that navigating it's been pretty smooth. And I think that, as I said to you, like, I think that my wife is probably more to thank for that. But
They're incredible. The females, anyone who knocks women or mums, they're mad, because they do an incredible job.
yeah, so it's been good. Yeah, I'm just grateful for it all, really.
Sweet. Well, we'll try and wrap it up a little bit. We'll just head over to a few sort of quick fire questions. So AFL or NRL team?
AFL is Essendon.
Man,
Yeah, Bombers, man. It's just, I guess, in the family. So I think that I kind of didn't really have a choice growing up. And then NRL, I mean, the Storm, I guess. I didn't really watch a whole lot of it. I actually really enjoyed playing rugby a little bit growing up, but like just at school and whatever. But never really watched it that much. But I think I always watch the Queensland versus New South Wales when that gets rolling. And I'm Queensland, by the way. But yeah, probably the Storm is what I'd go with.
What's the Aussie food that you miss the most?
Chicken parma, and it's not close. Yeah, like a chicken parma and fries, and then obviously once I'm done at BYU, a nice cold beer as well. As I said, once I'm done at BYU,
Yeah.
that is that is the obviously what I probably miss the most. I mean, as you guys know, like a parma at a nice pub, like that's probably you just don't get that anywhere else. I reckon, at least the same way.
I think that's batting 100 in all the interviews. I don't
Yeah,
think
I think every punter has said that so far, and yeah, great answer.
Yeah,
What's the best American takeaway that we don't have in Australia?
In-N-Out's got to be up there, so definitely hit that when you're over here. I mean, everyone, like Chick-fil-A is like good, but it's kind of overrated, I reckon. Yeah, probably In-N-Out, honestly. Like their McDonald's is terrible. Don't even go anywhere near McDonald's or KFC over here. But yeah, In-N-Out is good. It's pretty basic, but it's so like that's just so American. Like you go over and you're like, yeah, In-N-Out, So it's actually it's pretty good, and I think they like cook all the stuff pretty good as well. So I think it's like actually not awful for you for a takeaway.
What's the biggest crowd you've played in front of?
The Big 12 championship game I think was 90. Yeah, 90,000. It was that was at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium. It might have been slightly less. That might have been like 88 or something, but it was it was going, and there was about 70,000 Texas Tech fans. Our fans definitely travel well, but it was in Texas, so I think that they just beat us to the punch when it came to the tickets, to be honest.
Who would you say is your best teammate, favourite locker room guy?
Probably currently would probably be Matthias, who's my kicker, which is hilarious because him and I are just polar opposites. He's like your stereotypical like BYU LDS, like just look up BYU and Matthias is there, right? But like he's super funny, and I think our humor is like kind of similar, and I think I just get along with him. There's a few of the boys like Jack Kelly, he's gonna be in the draft this year. He was a linebacker, and Tyler Batty, and a few of those boys that were like I was pretty close with them. They're sort of a little bit more like my speed, I guess, personality wise. But yeah, and then obviously my kicker last year, Will and I were like super close. So yeah, they're probably the group of guys that I'd say I was closest to.
With the Super Bowl set, who is your pick to win Super Bowl 60?
Seattle. Yeah, I think Seattle will take care of them pretty easily. I just think that honestly, like I've never seen a punter have an impact on the game like Michael Dixon does, and I think like it's like a bit of a hot take maybe. I think he's the difference. Truthfully, like it's actually huge when you consider how many drop punts he's caused. It's like even the way he punts is so weird. Like it's not your traditional. Like if you look up like a lot of guys over here, in the pros, he's one of one. With the way his stance is and everything else. Yeah, he's probably like a bit of a unicorn, I would say. So I'd say that Seattle will win, and I think that across the board they're obviously really good. I'm not saying they're going to win because they're punter, but like I could see him making a play or two where you're like, dude, that was a difference maker. So
yeah, like he did last week. That muff punt could have genuinely been the difference in the end of the.
the guy fell over trying to catch it. Like it's just it's just absurd. And once again, even that, like fans back home are like, oh, like how hard is it to catch a ball, mate? You have no idea when like the amount of hang time that dude gets and like the way it deviates in the air, like. It's if those dudes can't catch it, then guys are back home are catching it. So
Sean McVay literally just sent Kyron Williams out to catch it, not to return at all. They were just like catch the ball. Like that's how dangerous he is.
Yeah, he's elite. Certainly elite. ProKick alum as well, which is cool.
Legend. Well, mate, I guess like the last question we'd like to ask you is a lot of Aussie blokes who are back home. And mate, they might have been in similar situation to yourself where they've had the idea of maybe having a crack at trying out at ProKick or chasing college football, but a lot of them would have maybe some of the same reasons that you had that was originally holding you back from actually going and trying out. Like it might have been the fear of actually going to school overseas. It might have been just the fear of moving overseas, or maybe the fear of just trying a completely different sport. I guess what advice would you give to them for someone that's maybe sitting on the fence?
It's funny, like that was the question I was looking forward to the most, because it's just like the way that my life is now and like the way that it's changed, it's like nothing I could have even like pictured 5-6 years ago. Like the thing, like the old saying, like what if it could turn out like better than you ever imagined kind of thing is like, I never expected my journey to kind of bring me to BYU, right? But like, I think that the opportunity that you have to be able to rub shoulders with people that, not even in the sports world, but just in the business world, that you just would never have the opportunity to have, is something that I think that is really special about this opportunity. And like, I think that, like, you guys asked about like crowds and that before. I think that's the stuff that like I'll be able to, like, when I look back on my career and be like, dude, like, got to kick a footy in front of like 90,000 people. Like, that was so cool. And from that aspect, like, yeah, I always had the dream of playing Aussie rules footy, but like I would say, like, college football is as big as AFL back home, and so it's like, to be able to say that I got to be able to do that is going to be really cool. I think, like, when I'm an older man. But then obviously, like, with the degree stuff, like, I mean, I was 20, I think I was 22 when I joined or 23 when I joined ProKick, and then obviously came over here as like a 25-year-old freshman. Like, I mean, you look at Billy Gowers, I mean, he's 20, 28, 29 freshman. Like, there's a reason why guys are doing it. They think that, oh yeah, like, he wants to go to the NFL, and sure, like, he has a good shot, I reckon, he's got a big leg, but the degree that he'll get over there and the connections he'll get just because he was the punter at Indiana. I mean, he'll get a super high paying job out of college just because he was the punter at Indiana, and that's what I say to like a lot of the guys back home that are like sort of contemplating, oh, I don't know if I want to do it. Like, mate, like your life will be net better for doing it, is what I'm trying to say. Like, regardless of if you do it and you hate living here in the US, which is fine, you go home. Like, to say that you even like had the opportunity to come over here, like, there's a lot of guys don't understand, and I mean, I know you guys do because you seem to be pretty like well versed with it. But you'll come over here and like kids would die to have a scholarship to be able to go and play football. Like, like they do like fan fest stuff, and fans are like, oh, can we, have your autograph? And to me, it's all a little bit silly. Like, I just kick a ball, right? Like, relax. Like, it's not that deep, But to them, it's like it's huge. So it's, I think, an opportunity that you just can't pass up if you have the opportunity, and if you can kick the football a little bit, and you're sort of thinking, oh wow, like, I want to try and just see what can happen from it. Just do it. I mean, the worst thing that's going to happen is you didn't enjoy the experience, but at least you can say you tried and you did it. Like, there's what's the alternative? Stay at home and just like cruise. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can do that afterwards. So
Yeah.
that'd be my advice for it.
Mate, such great advice. I think it's my favorite. Like, I absolutely love this, that your original goal was to play in the AFL, but you've literally probably played on a bigger stage of 90,000 than what most AFL players would actually play in their career. Like, there'd only be a small percentage of AFL players have played in front of 90,000, whereas you can say you've done that. So I think that's awesome, mate.
Yeah, and just like even the locker room and like the way they look after you, like, like you go and play and you fly to different places, and it's just madness. You'll see when you're over here, it's just they take, and I don't mean it in like a way like, oh wow, like, look at me, I don't mean it like that at all. Actually, I just mean that it's just, if you can have the opportunity to do it, like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, give it a crack. Like, why not? So I think I would have regretted it. I think I would have regretted it a lot if I didn't do it.
It's opportunities in life that Australia can't offer. It's insane,
exactly.
isn't it?
Mate, like, I'm such a proud Aussie. I love the country. I forever will be a proud Aussie, you know what I mean? But you're right. Like, the scope here is, I mean, it's 20-fold, you know what I mean? So that's why it's just like, you may as well just try. Yeah.
Awesome, mate. Thanks so much for taking the time to catch up and fitting us in with your family life. You're doing amazing jobs. You're kicking goals. Hopefully you can get that extra year of eligibility and dominate at BYU.
That's it, fellas. I appreciate you guys, and thanks for the time. If you're ever in town, just come to BYU and we'll drink some decaf coffees.
Yeah.
And we're not have beers. Love it. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it so much.
Thank you, mate.
It's been awesome.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys. Thanks, man.